Tyler? So welcome to the 2022 Daviess County 4-H Beef Show. We're ready to move forward with this, and we've got more than a few warm people back in the barns working hard and to put on a good show for you. We're going to begin this evening with our opening ceremonies. We'll begin with our national anthem and then the pledge to the two flags that are behind me. So if you'll stand and we'll join the national anthem.
Who does the national anthem?
And Tyler Boyd will lead us in the pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance
My name's Nellie Arms, and I'll be doing the 4-H pledge. I pledge my head,
Thank you. We would like to also take just a moment of silence, if we could, for the youth of our county that have had a positive impact on our lives and have touched it in many ways and will forever be remembered. Thank you very much. We're ready to begin with our mini 4-H exhibitors. We have 6 entries in the mini beef class, and as soon as they're ready to enter the ring, we're ready to get underway. Okay, first in the ring is Graham Baker. Following this mini 4-H class, we have a little bit of change in our program. Class 3 will be our first class of the regular part of the show. So if Class 3 wants to be getting ready. And walking in right now is Brock Arms. And Bridget Arms. Yeah, that's Chloe. Chloe Andrews. Logan Yoder. And Sydney Hanna. Our judge this evening is Tom Redden. Tom is a co-owner of Redden Brothers Livestock in Norman, Indiana. They're in the Hereford business and also in the boar goat business. He's also a certified ABGA judge for the American Boar Goat Association. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for coming to Daviess County this evening. Give him a warm welcome.
Well, good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here once again. I don't know how many years it's been since I've been here, but it's been a while. And this mini 4-H thing, you know, you can't get them started too early. And to get out here and experience the actual sawdust and presenting your calf and yourself out here is just an experience you can't tell a kid how it feels. They have to experience it themselves. And as they get out here, the main thing is to keep their animal presentable. And sometimes that's really hard for a kid when they're real small, but just keep working at it. Keep your eye on the judge in case he tells you to do something to move your animal this way or that way. But these kids certainly deserve a round of applause, but let's not get too loud on it, because these calves, you know, they're not used to things either. And just show the kids your appreciation for them being out here. Just an excellent group.
And Graham, if you'll go ahead and lead out, followed by Brock. And Bridget Arms, Chloe Andrews, Logan Yoder, and Sydney Hanna. Congratulations to all 6 of you, and we look forward to seeing you next year. So we'll begin in our Angus Division with our Class 3 Angus Senior Calf. And we have 1 entry in that class. And let's go ahead and bring our Class 1 Summer Yearling to the makeup area outside the arena. And our Class 3 Angus calf is exhibited by Ward Barber.
We'll not work these single entries in these classes too hard. It's pretty hot tonight, and you know, it's probably a lot cooler in here than it is out where they're getting these calves ready. But our first heifer in this, of course, a single entry, but really long and angular in her overall appearance. A heifer is very flexible on both ends. As she moves away from you, you know, you like nice clean hocks that she has, very long body, long hip, and I appreciate the condition she's in, kind of a condition where you can turn her out and go on with her as a cow, and I certainly appreciate that. Sometimes we get these females too fat, and we're not certainly not looking at that in this heifer. Just a very nice heifer in this single entry class.
And presenting in your Class 3 calf is Ward Barber. And for those of you that have or haven't shown, one of the toughest things to do is to be the only animal in the ring, because they kind of have a mind and they can see that door quicker than you can. So great job, Ward. Our Class 1 Angus is a summer yearling, and we'll bring that animal in. And exhibiting in Class 1 a single entry is Blake Barber. And we need our Class 2 Angus Junior Yearlings to the makeup area. Class 2 to the makeup area.
Another single entry, but you have to appreciate the volume that this heifer has. A heifer that's got a good bit of springer rib to her. If you change her any, like to maybe lengthen her out in that neck, make her hair more feminine and angular in that front end. As she moves away from you, wants to get a little bit close behind, and I'd like to change that about her. But a heifer that's certainly deserving of a blue ribbon.
So your Class 1 Angus Summer Yearling exhibited by Blake Barber. Great job. Give him a hand. Absolutely. We're now ready for our Class 2, which is Angus Junior Yearling. We have 3 entries.
So they bring Blake back in on this one?
Not on this one, no.
No, they will bring Ward back in?
First in is Brent Barber, followed by Owen Barber and Isaac Rhodes. Our next class will be the Angus Senior Calf and the Summer Yearling as we compete for champion and reserve champion Angus.
Which one's yours?
this class of Angus heifers, I think junior yearlings, I think we've got an easy top in this class. A very angular heifer up through that front end, really tighten that shoulder. As you view her as she on the move, just very sound in her foot movement and her hock movement, her joint movement. Change anything about her, she wants to break just a little bit in that loin as she moves, but that's taken really being pretty picky on a really good heifer. This heifer wins the class quite easily in my mind. The next two heifers are pretty close. I think the one that we're going to use in second, probably the longest body to the two. It's probably more extended right up through that front end, higher to the point of the shoulder than the heifer that we've got in third. I think she's got a bit more body than our heifer in third, but a nice class of heifers all the way down.
And your class two, give them a hand. Absolutely. Your first place animal is exhibited by Isaac Rhodes, followed by Owen Barber and Brent Barber. We'll now show for our champion and the reserve champion, Angus heifers. So if we can have back from class three our Angus calf with Ward Barber. From class one, our summer yearling with Blake Barber. And from class two, our junior yearling with Isaac Rhodes. And the banner for this championship is donated in memory of Walter Harner. Let's bring our class 4 key and class 5 key to the makeup area, class 4 and class 5 to makeup. Assisting us with ribbons this evening is our outstanding 10-year 4-H member, Jordan Remsburg. Her favorite projects have been vet science, dairy, sheep, swine, sewing, and needlecrafts. And she plans to attend Purdue University to study animal science with a pre-vet concentration. And we please give a warm welcome to Jordan for her 10 years service to 4-H.
For Champion Angus female, I think we have one out here that handles this breed quite handily. One you really have to appreciate the soft centeredness that she has through the center part of her body. She's really long and extended up through her front end. Maybe like to tuck her up just a hair in that brisket area, but one that's very good in her overall pattern and design. This older heifer will be your champion female.
So your champion heifer comes out of class number 2, exhibited by Isaac Rhodes. And Owen, if we could have your second place in that class in, please.
For reserve female, I think it becomes a bit tighter in that we've got actually 2 different kinds out here with this senior calf, really long and extended. Really appreciate her as far as the tightness she has through that shoulder, really feminine up through that front end. As I said in class, you know, I change the way she moves off her feet and maybe a little bit bolder in her overall design, muscle pattern, structural pattern, but a very long angular female. And then we've got 2 that's much alike in their kind, maybe a little more massive in their overall design, a little more body, a little more rib to them. I don't think there's extended up through the front end. I do prefer that moderate size, or the more moderate size than our calf down here on this end. But I think as we view the one that we use for champion, I think the one that most closely resembles her as type and kind will be your young calf here. Your fall calf will be your reserve.
And your reserve champion comes from class 3, which is the senior calf, exhibited by Ward Barber. And Isaac, if you'll go ahead and lead out, followed by Ward, Blake, and Owen. Next, we have 2 classes of Chianina, each with a single entry. We will begin with class 4, which is for a late junior yearling. Leading in and for our class 4 is Cale Baker.
And then got another single entry, but you have to appreciate this heifer as you know, the first view that you get of her is from the side. She's really long from the tip of her nose to her tail. Very muscular in her overall design. I think if you change this heifer, I'd like to drop her down the flank hair, make it a little bit softer centered, a little more spring of rib to her. But we'll see how she looks out here for Champion Key. I think heifer that's very deserving of blue ribbon.
So, Cale, if you'll go ahead and lead out, and that is our Class 4 Kianina late junior yearling. Our next key will be a junior yearling, a single entry, exhibited by Tyler Boyd.
Another single entry, but a heifer certainly deserving of a blue ribbon. This man, this young man has her presented really nicely as you bring her out here. You have to appreciate the length of body this heifer has. As you get back through that center part of her body, you'd like to drop her down that flank, but a heifer I think is very sound in her movement. Maybe I'd like to tighten her up right in that shoulder area. It wants to get a little bit wide. As you view her from the front, and as she's coming right at you, you'd like to tighten her up a hair, maybe extend her a little bit up through the front end. But a really nice heifer and certainly deserving of a blue ribbon.
And Class 5 exhibited by Tyler Boyd. And if we can have Cale Baker back in the ring now for our champion key from Class 4, so we can get our champion and reserve champion key. The trophy for, or the banner for this class is donated by Corn Pro Trailers. If we could get Class 6 Herefords and Class 7 Herefords to the makeup area. Class 6 and 7 to makeup.
We'll just place these heifers where they're standing. They're having a little bit of difficulty moving around and don't want to have to fight with them much, as hot as it is. And I think we've got one out here that kind of dominates the other. They're very much alike in their overall type and kind. We have one just more massive in particularly in their spring of rib and the softness of center. As I said before, like to extend her out through her front end, extend her out through her front end a little bit, tighten her up in that shoulder. I think part of that, she wants to knee in just a little bit as you view her from the front, and I'd like to change that about her, but your black Baldy heifer will be your champion, then the yellow heifer will be your reserve.
And your champion key is exhibited by Tyler Boyd, if you'll lead out, Tyler. And the reserve champion exhibited by Cale Baker. Our next class will be Class 6 Hereford Late Junior Yearling. We have 2 entries. We still have a ways to go in this heifer show, but for you steer exhibitors, we will take a 10-minute break between heifers and our market animals. So leading in is Drew Clausen, followed by Aubrey Ferguson.
this is one of those classes where you'd like to combine the two heifers, I guess. The one we're starting with, this yellow heifer, I think when you view her and as a total package, she's just a little more balanced. She's a little more level over from her hooks to her pins. As she gets up through that shoulder and up through that neck, she's a little bit higher to the point of that shoulder, a little bit more extension up through that front end, a little bit more femininity about that head. I think as you move them around the ring, she's a little more flexible also off of both ends. I like the massiveness of design through the center body of this dark red heifer, but when you analyze her, I'd like to raise her up to the point of that shoulder, clean her up right in that shoulder area hair, raise that chest floor up, clean her up a little bit, but two heifers is pretty close in their overall placing.
So from Class 6, our first place animal exhibited by Aubrey Ferguson, followed by Drew Clausen. We're now ready to bring in our Class 7 Hereford Junior Yearling. And if we could get our Class 8, 9 to the makeup area, 8 and 9 to the makeup area. Class 7 is exhibited by Taylor Ferguson.
This single entry certainly, as a lot of single entries you've had so far, certainly deserving of blue ribbon. You have to like this heifer's overall balance, her overall design, really extended up through her front end, really high to the point of the shoulder, holds that old head up as she goes around the ring. I think maybe, I'm not sure the age difference of her and the heifer in the last class, but we have so much more body, so much more depth of rib in this heifer than the yellow heifer that won the last class. And you have to, this is going to be a big old gal some of these days. She's going to be a pretty good size, and maybe like to moderate that about her a little bit, but a really nice heifer in this single entry.
Just stay in, Taylor, if you would, please. And let's go ahead and bring our Class 6 first place animal with Aubrey. For our champion and reserve champion, Hereford Heifer. And that banner is donated by Colbert Polled Herefords.
For this champion Hereford heifer, I think this darker red female kind of dominates this championship thing. As I said before, really extended, really balanced in her overall type and kind. Heifer, if I change about her, I'd like to moderate her as far as her overall size and scale is concerned, but that's being pretty picky on a really good one. I think there's lots of bulls out there you can mate her too and get by really well. Then for reserve, we'll naturally use this yellow heifer, made much like the dark red heifer, just not as much of her as there is in the dark red heifer.
And for your champion Hereford Heifer, exhibited by Taylor Ferguson, if you'll lead out, please. Followed by the reserve champion, exhibited by Aubrey Ferguson. Our next class will be a maintainer junior yearling. It's a single entry in the maintainer division. And that banner is donated by the Tony Barber family. Leading in on Class 8 is Brayley Bennett. And let's go ahead and get our Class 10 to the makeup area. Class 10.
Another single entry, but you have to admire the femininity of design in this heifer. From the tip of her nose at the point of that shoulder, really extended up to her front end, got a nice long feminine head on her, really tight in her shoulder, really long body kind of heifer. As you view her from the side, you'd like to drop her down that flank of hair, and you get behind her, you just like to bulk her up as far as her rib cage is concerned, give her more balance and a bulk of rib in that center body, but a very nice heifer for this young lady. And I really like the shape she's in as far as turning her out and breeding her. I don't think you'll have a bit of trouble with her at all. Nice heifer, young lady.
And exhibiting your maintainer junior yearling and your maintainer champion is Brayley Bennett. Sure, give them a hand. There's a lot of work going on here. Our next class will be a Shorthorn Plus Junior Yearling, and there's a single entry in that division. And that banner is donated by German American Bank. And Bryce Bennett is at the lead of this Shorthorn Plus.
These single entries certainly don't like it in here by themselves, but this heifer could use quite a bit of competition. This is really a good individual as far as her spring of rib, her balance of design, femininity that she has up through that head and neck area. Maybe like to extend her out a little bit in that neck, but this is a very balanced heifer. As you view her from any angle, you have to appreciate this heifer quite a bit.
And your Shorthorn Plus champion is exhibited by Bryce Bennett. Our next class will be Simmental Junior Yearlings. We have 2 entries, and that is in all that we have in the Simmental Division. And if we can go ahead and get Class 11, Class 12, and Class 13 to the makeup area. 11, 12, and 13 to makeup. And the banner in the Simmental Division is donated by the Jeff Jarrett family. Leading in is Nellie Arms. And also in the Simmental division is Sawyer Baker.
I think this is a very close decision in my mind in these two heifers. Two heifers that's not very much alike as far as their overall type and kind. We've got this heifer in front, just a big old massive centered kind of heifer, big bone, big-footed kind of heifer, a heifer that wants to get a little bit out in her shoulder. As you view it from the front end, I'd like to neaten her up through that neck and head, but a heifer that certainly has weight per day of age on the heifer that we've got right behind her. I prefer the front end of the heifer that we've got behind her here, really extended up through her front end, tight up and high in the point of that shoulder, really extended through that front end, very feminine that head. As you go back through this heifer, she's got some softness of center to her, but as you move around and get behind her as she goes away from you, doesn't handle her feed as stable as you'd like to see her, wants to hawk in a little bit as she goes. And I think today we're going to use the heifer with the weight per day of age. This bigger heifer will be your champion Simmental, and then the smaller heifer will be your reserve.
And your champion in the Simmental Class 10, exhibited by Nellie Arms. And the reserve champ, exhibited by Sawyer Baker. Our next division will be Sim Solution. We have 3 classes. We'll begin with a Sim Solution Junior Heifer. We have 2 entries in that class. So you've got your list right there. And leading in is Cale Baker. Followed by Blake Barber.
This class of first class of Sim Solutions, I think we're starting with the older heifers first, and where the other breeds we started with the younger. But the heifer we're starting with, when you compare to their second place heifer, just more heifer, longer in her overall body design. She's as soft, as centered as the other heifer is. A heifer, as she goes away from you, you'd like to see a little more. Maybe a little more fold in her udder, maybe a little more prominence in her udder shape and design, where this second place heifer has got that. But when you look at the second place heifer, wants to get a little bit shorter in her overall design. She's shorter bodied. She's shorter to the point of her shoulder. 2 nice heifers, but very different in their overall type and kind.
And so your Class 11, first place, exhibited by Cale Baker, followed by Blake Barber. We're now ready for Class 12, which is a Sim Solution late yearling. I have a single entry in that division, that class. We have just a couple of classes left, and we'll be working on our grand champion heifer. So if you have some champions, you need to be having them ready shortly. From Angus, we have Isaac Rhodes. Kianina, we have Tyler Boyd. Hereford, we have Taylor Ferguson. Maintainer, we have Brayley Bennett. Shorthorn Plus, we have Bryce Bennett. And Simmental, we have Nellie Arms. We'll also have a sim solution and a commercial.
Another single entry, but here's a heifer could use some competition. You really like her femininity. You started her head. She's really feminine, that head design. Really sharp and angular through that front end. Got a nice extension through her neck and head. Still, she's got some softness to center to her. She's got. I really like the condition of this heifer. As I've said in some heifers before, you know, they're not too much grease on them. You can turn them out and make cows of them quite easily, and I think here's one that really make a nice cow.
And from Class 12, exhibited by Calvin Myers. So if we can have from Class 13, our Sim Solution Fallborn. And leading in for Class 13 is Nellie Arms. And let's have Class 14 to the makeup area. Class 14 to makeup.
I think here's a really nice cow in the making in this Fallborn Sim Solution. A heifer that's really feminine in her overall a type and kind, really extended up through her front end, got a nice length of neck, length of head to her. Still, she's softness of center, really sound her movement. I think this is going to be a really nice cow for this young lady.
From Class 13, Nellie Arms. So if we can have for our champion Sim Solution, from Class 11, Cale Baker. From Class 12, Calvin Myers. And from Class 13, Nellie Arms. And the banner for the Sim Solution division is donated by the Margaret Berry family. So leading in for this championship, we have Cale Baker, followed by Calvin Myers and Nellie Arms.
I think we've got three really nice heifers out here for this sim solution. We've got one, this older heifer out here, maybe just pushing the frame size just a hair or for me, but one that's very nice in her overall type and kind, length of body, soundness of movement, just a very nice female. And then we've got one that's probably on the other end, a little bit more moderate in her overall type and kind, but you have to appreciate her as far as her femininity, her softness of center, really sound in her movement, is really feminine through that neck and head. Then you've got one kind of, I think, kind of right in the middle as far as frame size, but one with an extreme amount of quality, really extended up through her front end. You get behind her is really when you appreciate her, really wide pin, and I appreciate that about her. She'll be your champion sim solution.
So your champion is exhibited by Nellie Arms, and your reserve champion exhibited by Calvin Myers from Class 12. And Nellie's going to be right back in here for Class 14, so we'll give her a chance to catch her breath before we make that call. And leading in for Class 14 is Nellie Arms. And Hayden Baker. And the banner for this is donated by Hart Farms. Our next class will be our grand champion and reserve grand champion heifer. So if you have champions that we called a minute ago, please be out in the makeup area. Angus would be Isaac Rhodes. Key would be Tyler Boyd. Hereford Taylor Ferguson. Maintainer Brayley Bennett. Shorthorn Plus Bryce Bennett. Simmental Nellie Arms. Sim Solution Nellie. And then this commercial to be determined.
lot of weight differences in these two heifers, and I think they're fairly close in my mind as far as their placing is concerned. As you look at the gray heifer, a tremendous amount of body and softness of center to her. The front 1/3 of her body, you'd like to clean it up and lengthen it out. Part of that's got to do with the condition that's on her. She's got more condition on her than the Baldy heifer right behind her. And you know, you have to take that in consideration also. Then we've got the black Baldy that's quite a bit smaller weight-wise. I don't know what the difference in the ages are because just for weight. But really extended from one end to the other. Heifer that you like certainly like the length of head she has, the extension she has through the front end. I think when the decision, as far as I'm concerned, is when you put them on the move. This black Baldy heifer just so much more flexible off the rear hock and through that joint area than the gray heifer, and she's going to be your champion crossbred, and then the gray heifer reserve.
And your Class 14 commercial heifer, first place exhibited by Hayden Baker, followed by second place with Nellie Arms. And that would be our champions and our reserve champion commercial. We're now ready for our grand and reserve grand champion heifers, and we would like to have you come in a certain order. We would like to have the Angus with Isaac Rhodes. Followed by the Key with Tyler Boyd, and the Hereford with Taylor Ferguson, the Maintainer with Brayley Bennett, the Shorthorn Plus, Shorthorn Plus with Bryce Bennett, the Simmental with Nellie Arms, the Sim Solution with Nellie Arms, with an assist by Aubrey, and a commercial with Hayden Baker. And the Grand Champion Heifer banner is donated in memory of Peggy Mead Reeve. And the Reserve Grand Heifer is by the Robert Beard family.
had several single entries in this heifer show, but as we get them all out here, you know, there's a lot of quality out here, and I think these kids deserve a round of applause for the quality they brought to you tonight. As you prick this supreme heifer or grand heifer, whatever you call it, I think there's a couple or three different ways you could probably go. I personally, as pick them the way I would take them home for cows. You know, I like them feminine fronted. I like them soft centered. I like them enough mammatory development in them that you think that they're going to make good cows. And I think there's one or two out here like that. The one I am going to use for Supreme Champion, it just has brood cow written all over. Feminine in her front end, a big soft center to her, just really sound as she goes around the ring, plants her feet down and keeps them there. Then the one I'm going to use for, then the one I'm going to use for reserve, maybe a little bit more conventional and overall type and kind as far as the extension she has up through her front end. As you view her from the front and coming at you, she wants to toe in a hair. But from that shoulder back, she's just impeccable as far as her softness of center, the way she's made through that hip and pin setting, and as she moves around the ring, very sound. The heifer I'm going to use for grand will be your Angus heifer in front. Then your Shorthorn Plus will be your reserve.
And your Angus is exhibited by Isaac Rhodes, and your Reserve Grand is exhibited by Bryce Bennett with the Shorthorn Plus. So before all of you leave the ring, I need a champion Daviess County bred heifer. So for that, I would need Tyler Boyd, Taylor Ferguson, Nellie with the Simmental, and Nellie with the Sim Solution. So Brayley can go ahead and lead out. It would be these four animals for Daviess County bred heifers. And that banner is donated by the Phil Myers family. And your champion Daviess County bred heifer is exhibited by Taylor Ferguson. Congratulations, and we'll let you all lead on out. Tyler, Nellie, Aubrey. We will take a 10-minute break before we come back to begin our market animal classes. I do have some announcements to make. The 4-H to table dinner and auction will be Sunday, October the 2nd. There will be a dinner, entertainment, and auction put together by 4-H members and parents as a fundraiser for our next building projects. Tickets are $15 each, and you can buy them tonight at the Junior Leaders stand at the arena. Also, the concession stand continues to be available, and the restrooms, of course, are also in that area. The Junior Leaders have a limited shake-up and popcorn and soft drink stand on the southwest corner. Also, for you livestock exhibitors, we need to remind you that the blue auction cards must be turned in either to the office or to Paul Flint yet this evening if you intend to have an animal in the livestock auction. We particularly would like to thank Alan and J.J. Brown for their continuing work on the live streaming of this coverage, and also to RTC Communications providing internet services for the Extension Office as well as the food court. And Beacon Credit Union is also covering the cost of the live stream, which we very much appreciate. There will be an adult showmanship contest on Friday after the regular showmanship contest. The Junior Leaders are sponsoring that, and this raises money for the Junior Leaders and scholarships for Daviess County 4-H high school seniors. Adults can enter for $10, or you can enter someone else for $10. To get out the first time, if you don't want in, it only costs you $20. Or if you have to get out the second time, it's only $30. So see Lauren Brinson or Addison Holstein for the adult showmanship contest. There are some additional awards for Clover Junior and Senior Showmanship available in the office. You need to contact the office to obtain those. We have 10 to 12 sponsors that have sponsored the 4-H t-shirts for this week, and certainly we appreciate all their support, which includes from Extreme Show Supply, Hoosier Insurance and Financial Services, the Produce Patch Farm Market, Blesh Brothers Equipment Company, Williams Brothers Healthcare Pharmacy, Bobcat of Daviess County, Purdue Farms Incorporated, Boyd Grain, Let It Snow Creamery, our Woodruff and Sons Incorporated, Odin Vet Clinic, German American Bank, Ostein's Ultimate Edge, First Federal Savings Bank of Washington, and Rex Grass and Sons Incorporated. Please support these merchants that help support us. We cannot do the show without them. Thank you very much.
My name is Hannah Bennington. I recently graduated from North Daviess High School. My future plans are to go to Ball State University and major in vocal music education and then mathematics as well. I recently went to Citizenship Washington Focus, which is a 4-H trip where you get to go to Washington, D.C. for a week and you get to meet new people and learn lots of different things about how to make your world a better place.
Hi, I'm Tyler Boyd. I'm Tyler Boyd. I'm 18 years old and I'm a 10-year member. I graduated from Washington High School and I plan to attend USI for business and an ag concentration. And my favorite part about the fair is the pork burgers from the concession stand and just being around friends all week.
My name is Jordan Remsburg. I graduated from North Daviess High School. I am 18 years old. My future plans include attending Purdue to study animal science with a pre-vet concentration. My favorite memory from 4-H was getting to attend 4-H Roundup for 2 years whenever I was a 6th and 7th grader. I really enjoyed being able to explore Purdue's campus and attending the animal sessions that they had for us.
So let's have your attention in the beef barns. We'll give you a 5-minute call right now for Class 1 and Class 2 Angus. So we'll begin this steer show in about 5 minutes. We do have a little bit of a parking issue that we need your help with. There's a gray Chevy Cruze with a license plate BPG 804 that is keeping someone from being able to get out. If you could move, they would be happy to give you their spot. So again, it's a gray Chevy Cruze BPG 804. Please help if you possibly can. You bet. Okay, we're ready to get started with our market animal classes. We're going to begin with Class 1, which we have a single entry in, and this is in the Angus Division. We'll follow up with Class 2 that have two also in the Angus Division, and then a champion. So we're ready for Class 1. Leading in is Owen Barber. So if Class 2 will be at the makeup area, along with Class 3 in the makeup area.
Got another single entry to start this market classes out with, but here's one that really has a lot of muscle in him. As you view him down the top, it really right in that rack area, that right behind his front leg and right back through that loin, really got a wide base, square kind of top in him. A steer that maybe get a few more days on feed, but he doesn't need many. You know, he's really close and one with a lot of quality for a market animal.
And Class 1 exhibited by Owen Barber. We're now ready for our Class 2.
Maybe it's going to be Wyatt, but Owen's yes.
Leading in is Brent Barber. Followed by Wyatt Barber. And Wyatt is leading the animal with the first place rate of gain.
These two young men out here with these steers have certainly done a nice job as far as feeding these calves. They've got some condition on them. I think they're both with grade. The one we're going to use in first is the one right, the young man right here, a steer that's just got a tremendous amount of muscle down that top, right in that ribeye area, and carries on back to the loin. And you view him from behind, carries on down to a nice full round and twist. A steer that's got plenty of condition on him. Still, he's clean enough made that you won't have a lot of waste in the final product. The young man that's got the steer down here in the corner has done an excellent job also. When you compare him to our first place steer, not the overall muscle down that top and down through that rear quarter, but a really fresh, nicely fed steer for this young man.
From your Class 2, the first place exhibited by Wyatt Barber, and again it is the first place rate of gain, followed by Brent Barber. And Owen, if we can get you back in so that we can have our champion Angus steer. And that banner is donated in memory of Walter Harner. Owen, go ahead and lead on in. And Wyatt, if you'd follow Owen in. We need Class 3 and Class 4 to the makeup area, Class 3 and 4 to makeup.
One thing may be different with myself and some market judges. You'll see I usually don't put my hands on them a lot unless they're haired up to the point where I can't tell what they are. I've got a good friend from South Africa and said, why put your hands on anything if you can see it with your eyes? And he's probably right. And I bought enough fat cattle to be able to eye these cattle that hadn't got much hair and tell how much condition they've got on them and how much actual value there is in the carcass of that animal. And when you compare these two that's out here in contention for champion Angus, this bigger steer kind of runs away with the thing. Just a total mass of muscle he has, the condition he has on him. Just a very nice one for this champion Angus steer.
And so your champion comes from Class 2 with Wyatt and Brent. If you would bring your animal up next to Owen, please. And our champion Angus is exhibited by Wyatt Barber.
As we bring this second place steer in for reserve, I think he's quite in contention. One that's really fresh in his condition, really nice in his appearance. But I think when you try to match up these steers, we're going to use a lightweight steer, just more muscle in that ribeye area and that loin area. A steer that's really close to kill weight, and we're going to use him for reserve, the lightweight steer.
And your reserve champion Angus steer, give him a hand, absolutely, is exhibited by Owen Barber. Go ahead and follow, if you would, Brent. Our next class will be Kianina. We have a single entry in that division. And that banner is donated by the Hassler Farms, J.D., Paula Newcomb, David Hassler, and Susie Newton. And leading in our Chianina is Colin Bennett. And 4 and 5, class 4 and 5 to the makeup area. Class 4 and 5.
Another single entry, but we've got one that's just beautiful as far as his presentation is concerned. The young man's done an excellent job. A steer that you have to appreciate as far as the length of body he has on him. A steer you'd like to see a little more mass as far as his muscle design down that top, particularly down there through the lower that quarter as he moves away from you. Wants to get a little bit narrow based as he moves away from you, but a really nice steer to win this class.
And your key champion exhibited by Colin Bennett. Congratulations, Colin. Our next division will be Hereford, and we have 2 classes. Class 4 is a single entry. Assisting us with ribbons in this market animal division is Lauren Brinson. Lauren's favorite project is showing pigs, which she successfully did yesterday. She's done so for 12 years. She's learned so much as far as responsibility, leadership, and integrity, and many experiences and opportunities to travel and meet new people. Her future plans include starting my own business, Pink Glow Aesthetics, as a licensed aesthetician. I probably can't pronounce it, but congratulate Lauren. She has been very, very successful. So in the ring, we have Sierra Andrews with our Class 4 Hereford.
Another single entry. Here's a steer I've seen before, I think in the mini deal. Some smaller person had him, but one that I had to admire in that class as far as the muscle down his top, particularly through that loin area and out through that hip area, really wide pinned, and as you follow on down in that twist area in that lower quarter, just a lot of muscle in this old calf. I'd like to extend him out, maybe make him a hair longer, but really a practical kind of steer for this young lady.
And leading out from Class 4 is Sierra Andrews. If we could get Class 6 and Class 7 towards the makeup area. And our next class will be Class 5 in the Hereford Division. We have 2 entries in that division. Leading in is Evan Clausen. Followed by Hannah Yoder.
two very nicely fed steers, and I think maybe the second place steer is presented a bit more like a show steer is concerned. But as I think about these steers and see them hanging on the rail, I see our first place steer with a much bigger eye, longer eye, a bigger loin in him. I think I see a lot less waste in this first place calf as far as cleanliness up through that front end and then through that middle. I appreciate the amount of muscle our second place steer has, but when you analyze him, you'd like to make him a little longer to compare with our first place steer, and certainly clean him up through that center. I'd sure like to clean him up, suck some of that gut off of him. I think he'd hang a better harvest on the rail. Thank you.
And from Class 5, your first place is exhibited by Evan Clausen, followed by Hannah Yoder, who also had the third place rate of gain calf. So if Sierra Andrews, if we can get you back in the ring. And Hannah, please don't go too far. But we need Sierra in first. And the banner for the champion Hereford steer is donated by Kelly Ferguson family. Go ahead, follow on up, Evan. We do need Class 6 and 7 to the makeup area.
We analyzed and talked about these calves in class, and I think there's one out here that just kind of dominates as far as I think the harvest weight and what he would hang on the rail and do for you. This heavyweight steer will be your champion steer. Then we'll bring this second place steer in. As I said before, a steer that was really nicely fed, a steer that liked to make him a rib longer and clean him up through the middle. But when you compare him to the steer in that first class, I think there's just more weight to him. There's just more harvest to him. The steer coming in will be your reserve steer.
So your champion Hereford, give him a hand, absolutely, is exhibited by Evan Clausen, and your reserve champion by Hannah Yoder. And Evan, go ahead and lead out, followed by Hannah. And Sierra, if you'll follow, please. Our next division will be Shorthorn, which is Class 6, and we have a single entry in the Shorthorn division. And that banner is donated by Home Place Farms. And Addison Holstein is leading in our Shorthorn steer. Another single entry in the Shorthorn division, but here's one that could use some competition, I think.
could handle some competition. A very long-bodied, attractive kind of steer, really sound in his movement. When you get your hands on him, maybe not quite there, or at least I'd like to see a hair bit more condition on him, but one that I think really clean his overall type and kind, just a very nice shorthorn steer.
And your champion Shorthorn is exhibited by Addison Holstein. Next will be our maintainer division. We have 2 animals in that division. And we need Class 8 and Class 9 to the makeup area. Entering is Tyler Boyd and Hannah Yoder.
really close placing in these two steers. As you view these two steers from the side, you have to really appreciate the steer we're going to start the class with. Really high to the point of the shoulder, extended, that old neck and head comes out of the top of that shoulder, really level top, really deep-sided, and as you view them from the side, got so much more depth of flank than our second place steer. Now, when you get behind them, I really like the width from that shoulder on back on our second place steer. I don't think he handles his wheels quite as well. He goes away from you. I don't think he's quite as level over the top. I don't think he's quite as deep right in that twist area. But a nice, really nice pair of steers in this class.
Class 7 at first, and your champion maintainer steer exhibited by Hannah Yoder, and the reserve champion exhibited by Tyler Boyd. We're now ready to move to our Simmental steers. We have two classes. We'll begin with Class 8 that has 2 animals in it. Leading in is Nellie Arms, followed by Addison Holstein.
Well, if Albie was around, Albie being tickled to death.
This class, we're going to start with the black Baldy steer, a steer that's really attractive in his overall design. He's extended to his front end. He's really level topped, really presented well. This young lady has him presented really nicely. A steer I'd like to, for ideal, I'd like to see a little more condition on him. But as far as the overall package and the show steer look, this is a steer we're going to have to use in the class. I prefer the condition or the amount of condition this red steer has on him. But when you compare him to the other steer, you'd like to clean him up through that middle, make him a little wider based as he comes at you and leaves you. But a steer that this young lady's done an excellent job with the feed bucket on.
So our Class 8 Simmentals, first place exhibited by Addison Holstein, followed by Nellie Arms. And we're now ready for our Class 9 Simmental. And leading in our single entry in Class 9 is Tyler Boyd.
another single entry, but I think a steer that deserved a lap around the ring. Really one you have to appreciate as far as the length of body he has from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail, and you get behind him, got a tremendous amount of muscle in him. A steer that's really agile as he goes around the ring. I think a very good one. Change him. I'd like to make him a hair deeper right in that flank, but that's being pretty picky on a really nice steer. Good job, young man.
And from Class 9, we have Tyler Boyd. And he says, after 3 days, freedom at last. So we'll move now to our champion Scimitals. And if we can get Addison to go ahead and lead out. And from Class 9, Tyler Boyd. We need Class 10 and Class 11 to the to the makeup. Class 10 and Class 11 to the makeup area.
For this champion Simmental steer, we've got a pair of steers out here that's made almost identical as far as the type and kind is concerned. We have one that's just closer as far as harvest weight, really long body, neat made steer. Your heavyweight steer will be your champion Simmental, and then the one right in front of him, your reserve.
And your champion Simmental comes out of Class 9 with Tyler Boyd. And the reserve champion Simmental exhibited by Addison Holstein. And Tyler, if you'd lead out, please. Our next division will be Crossbred Steers. We have 2 classes. The first class has a single entry. And leading in our Class 10 steer is Calvin Myers. This steer was a second place rate of gain. And let's have Class 12 to the makeup area. Class 12 to the makeup area.
several of these single entries, as I've said before, that could stand a good bit of competition, and this steer certainly could. A steer that's really nice in his overall design. He's extended from his front all the way to his back, and you get behind him, he's really wide pinned. He's got some rib cage to him. Just a very nice steer that just needs some time to get a little more condition on him to grade.
And Calvin Myers on a Class 10 steer. We're now ready for Class 11. We have 2 entries. It just was. Just forgot. And leading in Class 11, we have Emma Yoder. And Bryce Bennett. We have a couple classes before we move to our grand champion, but if you had a champion, you need to be getting ready. With Angus, that's Wyatt Barber. With Key, it's Colin Bennett. With Hereford, it's Evan Clausen. With Shorthorn, it's Addison Holstein. With Maintainer, it's Hannah Yoder. With Simmental, it's Tyler Boyd.
really a nice pair of steers. I particularly like the steer we're going to start the class with as far as the overall balance that he has. You view him from behind, he's thick from that shoulder right on down the top and down into that leg. As I know we don't pay as much attention sometimes in these market animals the way they move, but this fella just moves like a cat as you go around the ring. He's really flexible on both ends. Still, he maintains a tremendous amount of muscle. Just a very good one to start the class with. I like the calf quite well. They're in second too, but as you view him, particularly when you compare him to first place, when you view him from behind, just more narrow, and as he hits the ground, you view him from the side, he's not hardly as deep a flank or hardly has got much rib shape as the first steer in that class, but a nice pair of steers and a fairly close placing in my mind.
So from Class 11, we have first place exhibited by Bryce Bennett, followed by Emma Yoder, and we're ready for our champ cross steer. So if we could get back from Class 10, Calvin Myers, and from Class 11, Bryce Bennett. And Emma, please stay fairly close by. And the banner for the champion crossbred steer is donated by Paul and David Flint, Pioneer Seeds. And leading in, we have Calvin Myers, followed by Bryce Bennett.
For this champion crossbred steer, we've got two steers that's designed very closely as far as their overall type and kind. They're very extended from their nose all the way back to their tail. Our lightweight steer just needs a few more days to mass up through that center part of his body, to mass up in his muscle structure, but a very nice one is type and kind, very sound. And we've got the heavier weight steer that's there today, just very complete in his overall design. He'll be your champion. If you change anything about him, I'd like to maybe make him a hair fresher looking, but that's being very nitpicky, and it's been a few hot days, and I think that's got a lot to do with it, but he'll be your champion steer.
So your champion crossbred comes out of Class 11, exhibited by Bryce Bennett, and we'll bring Emma back in.
And reserve steer will be the second place steer in that class, just closer to market weight than our lightweight steer. He'll be your reserve.
And our reserve champion crossbred exhibited by Emma Yoder. Emma, if you'll go ahead and lead out, followed by Calvin Myers. Our final class is our market heifer class. We have a single entry in that division. And following that, we will move to our grand champion market animal. So if you have a champions, please have them in the makeup area. And bringing our market heifer in is Isaac Rhodes.
On 125 there, she's just not used to crowds, and she got out here in this open area, and I'm sure this young man's worked with her a lot, but the ease he had catching her, and she just got excited. And first time people go to town, usually they get a little excited, and that's what the way she was. But a heifer that's very practical in her overall design, very extended up through her front end. A heifer that I think if you had several of these on feed, I think they'd be very practical and very profitable for you. Nice market heifer.
So our champion market heifer exhibited by Isaac Rhodes. Congratulations, Isaac. So our next will be what we've all been waiting for, is our grand and reserve grand champion market animal. And if we could have the animals in this order: Angus with Wyatt Barber, Key with Colin Bennett, Hereford with Evan Clausen, Shorthorn Addison Holstein, Maintainer Hannah Yoder, Simmental Tyler Boyd, and Crossbred Bryce Bennett. The banner for Grand Champion Market Animal is donated by Dove Farms, and Reserve Grand Champion Market Animal by Terry and Susie Ferguson. So we have Wyatt Barber, Colin Bennett, Evan Clausen, Addison Holstein, Hannah Yoder, Tyler Boyd, and Bryce Bennett.
before I picked this champion steer, I know it's been a hot day for everybody, and they don't want to hear a bunch of long-winded speech. They just like to get to the meat of the thing. But you know, I appreciate being able to do this down here again, and appreciate the kids. I read somewhere a day or two ago where the 4-Hers are 4 times more likely to be successful and contribute to a good life and society than kids that aren't in the 4-H program. I believe that. I grew up in the 4-H program. For fear of telling my age, I showed my first year at the Indiana State Fair in 1958. So if you want to figure that, that's been several years ago. But all my kids grew up in 4-H, and grandkids are doing that. And I think it all has to do, and when we do things with these kids from the time they're born, it all has to do with faith, and it also has to do with respect. If they grew up respecting their elders, respecting the people that have authority, respecting each other, I think society would get along just fine. It seems like somewhere along the line that we've lost respect for each other and even ourselves in some instances. And I think 4-H is such a good program to find that respect and to find your goal in life. And after all, these cattle are just a vehicle for these kids to do better in life. And I think they deserve a round of applause for what they do. I think it boils down to 2 or 3 steers in my mind. I think they're all really competitive that's out here. I think there's one out here that combines more mass and muscle, more structural soundness, and your steer right here behind will be your grand steer.
And coming from the Crossbred Division is Bryce Bennett. The reserve champion in Crossbred is coming in now, and that is led by Emma Yoder.
Without taking just a whole lot of time, I think there's one out here that was a fairly close decision in my mind between the 2 steers. This steer right here will be your reserve.
And your reserve grand champion is exhibited by Hannah Yoder. Congratulations, Hannah. And we still need a Daviess County market steer, and so if Wyatt Barber, Colin Bennett, and if we could get Nellie Arms with her Simmental steer back in the ring. Congratulations to all of our champions, and to our grand champion, Bryce Bennett, and a reserve grand champion, Hannah Yoder. So if Nellie wants to bring her Simmental in, and she is coming in right now. So if you two would just stay just a moment, please, so we can get a Daviess County market steer. And these would be the 3 that would qualify to be evaluated. And that banner is donated by Boyd Grain, Tom and Marcia Boyd. So our next class will be Showmanship, and if we can get our Clover Showman headed to the makeup area. Clover Showman to the makeup area. And our Daviess County Market Steer is exhibited by Colin Bennett. And thank you, Nellie and Wyatt, for coming in. So we need our Clover Showman. And please head to the makeup area. Colin Bennett. Again, if you have animals that you want put into the auction, we need those cards to the office or to Paul Flint yet this evening. He has cards for you to fill out if you do not have one. Also, we will be taking pictures of those auction animals after showmanship is completed.
I'm Tyler Boyd. I'm 18 years old, and I'm a 10-year member. I graduated from Washington High School, and I plan to attend USI for business and an ag concentration. And my favorite part about the fair is the pork burgers from the concession stand and just being around friends all week.
If they all show up.
So again, we're ready to bring Clover into the makeup into the ring as soon as we have enough in the makeup area. We're expecting to have 8 in Clover Showman. And please go ahead and send them in when you have at least 3 or 4 out there. If you're in junior showmanship, you also need to be making your way to the makeup ring. Just try to stay out of the way of these Clover Showmen, please. So heading into the ring, we have Wyatt Barber. Isaac Rhodes. Aubrey Ferguson. Colin Bennett. And do we have more coming in for Clover Showman? And here we, Paul, auction card. Here we have Brayley Bennett. Is this Sawyer or Hayden?
91 is Hayden and Okay, that'd be Sawyer.
Sawyer Baker.
Got it right down. Go into what's quick. I haven't seen Brayley yet. I can't imagine Brayley. Oh, no, she's not. Yeah, I see she's out here. I missed her.
Do we have anybody else? Yeah, we got one coming right here. We've got Hayden Baker. And there might be one more. Is there one more coming? Mr. Judge, we're going to assume this is our list. If we get one more, we'll bring them in.
Visa card. That's where I'm at. Over Showmanship.
And the banner for Clover Showman is donated by Mark Barber family. And there's also a Visa gift card donated by Bear Crop Science DeKalb Ascro. If you are going to be in junior showmanship, you need to be making it to the makeup area right now, please. Junior showman to the makeup area.
we're not going to wear these kids out, but I think all these kids have done an excellent job, man. They deserve a round of applause for sticking with things all day long, as hot as it was, and then tonight in this show thing, you haven't seen any of them peek out or wimp out or anything. They've stayed tough. I think there's 3 or 4 individuals out here that does an excellent job. And then these younger kids, I think the main thing is keeping your animal under control, and that's the biggest thing, particularly when they get out and around feeding time. You know, it's hard to do that. And if they're not under control, if you stay with them and work hard, I don't consider that animal, just because it's got a few moving around or anything like that, against you, because that happens. It happens to the best of them. Keep an eye on the judge. Keep your animal the way you want it to look, as best it can be presented. And if the judge wants you to do something, just have enough eye on him or awareness of him or her, and that you can do what they ask. I think there is one individual out here that's done an excellent job, and that's not taking anything away from any of them. But, you know, showmanship doesn't have to be a long process, because you've actually seen these kids show all day. So you know kind of what they've done and what they did in classes. And I think there's one out here that has done really well in every class that they've been in. And I'm going to go ahead and make her champion showman to be this girl with the Hereford Heifer.
And your champion Clover showman is Aubrey Ferguson. Congratulations, Aubrey. If you'll go ahead and lead out. Followed by Wyatt Barber. Isaac Rhodes. Colin Bennett. Brayley, you can go ahead and lead out, please. Sawyer Baker and Hayden Baker. Our next class will be junior showmanship. And right now we have a list of 7 that we're expecting. And the banner in junior showmanship is donated by the Joe Kendall family. And again, there's a Visa gift card donated by Bear Crop Science DeKalb Ascro. And coming into the ring is our junior showmanship exhibitors. Coming in is Nellie Arms. Cale Baker. Blake Barber. Brent Barber. Owen Barber. Emma Yoder. And do we have any more coming? One more coming. And for you senior showmen, this is your first and only call to come to the makeup area. Senior showman to the makeup area. And Bryce Bennett.
You know, there's really not a need to make this a marathon. I've seen these kids show all day. Just a couple points. When you bring your animal in for showmanship, you know, you need to have it clean and have it, if it's got straw in its hair where it's been tied up or whatever, you need to get all that picked out. And there's actually 3 individuals in here that I've watched show all day that's done an excellent job. Some of it is luck on how your animal behaves when they get out here in the showmanship, and if you're fighting that animal all the time, it's really tough. But there's one individual out here that's done a nice job all day, and this girl right here with the black steer is going to be your champion junior showman.
And your junior showman is Emma Yoder. Congratulations, Emma. And if you would go ahead and lead out for us. And Bryce, you're close to the gate if you want to just go ahead as well. Followed by Nellie, Kel Baker, Blake Barber, Brent Barber, Owen Barber. Our next showmanship class is seniors, and I'll leave it up to you when you decide to come in. Again, we need auction cards. If you want to be in the auction, we need those this evening yet, and we need auction pictures yet this evening. So coming into the ring is Addison Holstein, Tyler Boyd, Taylor Ferguson, Calvin Myers, Hannah Yoder, The banner for Senior Showman is donated by Old National Bank. And again, there's a Visa gift card from Bear Crop Science DeKalb Ascro.
As I said before, you know, some of this is luck when you get out in showmanship. Your animal's getting tired, but there's one individual out here that's done really well all evening. And when you get these animals peeled off by themselves, you know, it kind of shows if that animal respects what you're doing and what you're telling it to do, because it doesn't take long for them to learn where the hole is to go back to the barn. And if you can get them past that without much trouble, well, you're usually in pretty good shape. And the one individual out here that, in my mind, has been at ease with everything that they've done all evening and has done an excellent job will be the young lady up here with the painted up steer up here.
And your first place in Senior Showman is Addison Holstein. And thank you for all your seniors coming in. You can go ahead and lead out. Tyler Boyd, Taylor Ferguson, Anna Yoder, Calvin Myers, and Drew Clausen. And several of you will be contacted concerning round robin, so expect a contact. That does conclude our beef show tonight. We want to thank our judge, Tommy Redden, and appreciate all of his work. And tomorrow will be the goat show, and certainly we invite you to come and participate and enjoy that show that will be taking place tomorrow evening. And thank you all for attending, And thanks to all the beef exhibitors for your attention to coming into the ring in an expeditious manner. Thank you very much.